That's
Oh
how
well.
you get paid when you become a partner.
You can keep it to that level, but you're the boss. So
Mm.
have to you have to delegate these things. It's not gonna if you don't delegate it and say you are someone.
Hmm. We lie.
Mm,
We lie.
okay.
You good?
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay. So what are you thinking for the first show?
I don't know. Hmm. For real. People saying they're giving good feedback now on the videos and stuff. So I don't really know as far as the first show is concerned. I really don't have a firm deal.
Well, there's a lot going on in the news. There's a lot going on in the news.
Right.
What I have an issue with right now is there was a big thing with the Playboy Mansion, and that was a big era. Like that was a big industry. I don't hear it being talked about a lot, and I think that's a bit unfair because there's a lot of things being pushed out there that's only one sided. And you're getting the details of a certain group of people, which paints a certain narrative. And to me, it's getting very easy to deceive people with the internet and this age of information, this information.
Mhm.
I don't think the right information is being pushed. And it's not that it's hidden or it's a mystery or parables. It's just that it's just not being pushed. It's not being opened. Like, um, what was this other guy's name? Steven Spielberg. A lot of just these other side of Besides Democrats, Republicans, I'm trying to spare what I'm saying. I haven't played too much of the wrong thing. So. But it just seems like it's a push for always a narrative on the melanated people. It's just always a narrative on us. No matter what it is, we're included and we dominate every narrative that's predominantly negative. And I just have an issue with that. I think a lot should be exposed on both ends. If you're going to pull things out, expose files, documents, things, it's quite disturbing. And sometimes I can see things being understandable, like some people being privy to certain information. Like it should not be denied to anybody who seeks it and wants to know. But however, certain things and I don't know if it benefits going into the hands of man.
Hmm.
Not just males, but just man. To a certain, because all of the information that we know, it's a big echo.
Go ahead.
Okay, so most of what we know has been from history. That information, is that prevalent to now? Does that really take us to now?
Yeah.
How?
Everything we learn is his story.
I don't need to know how the first car was
What's that?
made to drive my car. Like, I don't need to know how that first car was built. I believe, in fact, I don't, somebody else does. Like I said, it could be privy to people who want to seek out, but I don't need to know how that first car was built to know how the cars now are built. No? He said what? By people having the Freedom of Information Act, it became an act for a reason. And anything that's an act is limited to your capabilities are limited. So you're limited to certain information. And to me, that's a problem because then the information that is distributed is only one portion and you have to go seeking for the rest. So I think there should be just one universal language of information that is put out so that there's not a war on information. The fact that you have to say allegedly and that we have to be skeptic of some of the things that may be true or not is an issue for me because history should be documented and solid and evidential and should not be able to be subjective. History should be factual. And for certain, we had went over a few things today regarding what we had spoke on, what we speak on a lot, understanding the difference between understanding what
what
people wrote
wrote
in the Bible and understanding what you feel about it. Those two are different. And so we was going over the preface again to explain that Jesus was a term. A few questions. Okay. You want to do a mock interview? We can do a mock interview.
Give me 1 sec.
Okay.
you got mail. You got mail.
Hold on 1 second. Here she go.
What's up? What's up?
What up, though? What's going on?
Nothing. Had a great interview, Sheldon. Know what I'm talking about? Asking them questions on your panel. You ain't get
Oh, okay.
interviewed, but you was asking, you know what, questions.
You drink a
He's the fire.
What's up? You doing all right?
Hmm.
Okay, so I'm gonna create a page for specifically this channel to be streamed and advertised.
It's a lot less talking over here.
I can talk all day. Um, it's just where are we going with what I'm talking about? Because I can have a few questions, um, a few concerns. My number one concern right now is social media. Well, I saw something that was quite disturbing. Now, here's the thing: should women be liberated, right? Um, should are they is it to be have the freedom because men will work out and have big muscles and they can wear no shirt. And that's fine. And a pair of shorts and walk around. Now, where I'm from, was always told that, guys, you got to put a shirt on too. Just like put a shirt on. So in 2026, I'm seeing a lot of liberated young women just totally exposed. Is this natural, art? Is the body natural art? Is it should be covered uh just on general on GP? What, because it's just like, wow, what is that? Is your buttocks your best attribute? Everything is about the buttocks, the buttocks. What is that? It's all about promoting BLK's women. Their best attributes is their buttocks. To the BBLs, to the injections, to this new wave of spandex with the crease in the, it's just like, I just pay attention to certain things, and I wonder, is this created? I know it is created specifically to do a certain thing, seduce and to lure you in, because those spandex have the soda perk right in the crack of the butt. And I just don't think I would want somebody I know that's going to draw attention. I know everybody's going to see it accentuate the buttocks. So I know definitely that somebody's watching. In fact, most everybody's watching, because if I watched, I know you've watched and I've seen it. You've seen it. So I think that there's more than meets the eye on this buttocks thing with women now. Or is it just a self expression and a freedom of self-expression? Is it okay for women to be liberated sexually in openness and fairness like men is? They get to wear the macho men shirt and the little tank tops.
You got a great point. Just never thought about it. Yep.
So it leads me to this. Do you think they're being objectified? Do you think they're being subjectified? Men, by not being told these things. You see how uh it can have some underlying tone in it to lure you in and seduce you, or to like emasculate a man in a way, because he's having no, it's like, I have the freedom to be open and broad and with my body. So does that give people the right to, hey, so because women have to be covered. They the ones that is instructed for them to be covered. So we don't look too much into the male portion and the oppression of a man. You might not say that a man can be oppressed, but if he's not given that same covering and value of his body to say, cover up and, respect yourself, and this is for equally both of you, could that be saying to the men that you're not as worth as much to cover yourself up?
Well, you gotta
You're
think
not.
over it. You gotta think over in
Hmm.
Dubai. Them women covered over there. It's never was equal with women anyway compared to man. That's how it's always been. But if you go over to Dubai, the women over there are covered.
But does that kind of objectify and oppress the man? And when I say that, it's like you leave him open and say it, and it's okay. He has the freedom. But you cover a woman up and put a label and say she's valuable, so cover her up. Is that to say that a man is less valuable? So we don't teach him the same moral principle, to cover up your body, respect yourself, don't be walking around with your big muscle biceps open and your nipples, because we both have, nipples. So
Man ain't they not really value. They ain't worth nothing. Women are. We can carry kids. We they somebody wives. I ain't trying to be funny. They are dust. Women are all of that. That's why when a man get his wife, he coveting his wife. We eat. We carrying. We give birth. A whole bunch of other stuff. We beautiful. Things subject for people to lust towards women. Man can come outside and look any kind of way. But it's something about the woman. Mm-hmm.
interesting. There are dusties, as the
I
man
ain't
would
even call
say.
it dusty because my husband ain't no dusty, but you get what I'm saying? I'm just saying that's
I just think it's a certain unfairness. Uh, in
they seem
my
crazy, but we might be something.
hmm,
I say, I know, I get your point though. Cause look, a man can walk outside with some basketball shorts on, his shirt off, at the basketball. Oh, all right, let's playing basketball at the basketball court. But can a woman have some shorts on and take her bra and stuff off and breast hanging? We didn't
no,
get a
they'll call the
ticket.
people.
Yeah, we didn't get a
Exactly.
ticket from what is it, decent exposure or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that is interesting. I'm gonna have to look into that and see why. I thinking of this stuff, Charlie.
Because it's not that cold. It's a good fresh air kind of cold. Well, because it tells you, certain scriptures say certain things, and people, if you take your judgment out of it and your biasness, and I love when Shamika came through with that puffed up, stiff neck and vain imagination, because that puts a lot of things in perspective to say, are you looking at it from your perspective, how you think in the flesh, or are you looking at it for what it says and for what it is? And I think a lot of people think that they're looking at it for what it says, but it's very difficult to not internalize yourself in the scriptures and put yourself in that. So, in separating me from the stories, I can see the injustices and the point uh, on both ends. And there's a lot of injustices on the male's behalf that you don't discover and reveal because it's constantly being focused on the man. But if you remember the woman, you will understand her part. And one part that stuck out specifically was doing that debate. These debates are very healthy and informational. Um, Finding out Rebecca making her trick her son into getting that inheritance. That was a very significant thing. I think people gloss over that. Like, you don't pay attention to that. That means that these women may have been ruthless to a point that uh the gold and the trinkets and uh the material things had become a, what is it, a known or a desire to the woman. And so with that need to desire those golds and trinkets and high status, it will denote and place the man to be, I guess, a dusty, a slave, a worker. Which is fine. I mean, that's their job per se.
Valentine's coming up tomorrow. How big is this day for women?
Celebrate that Valentine's Day. We don't celebrate that.
Chosen, you celebrate? What I'm trying to say, what's going on with that day?
Well, I not celebrated, but I don't. I've I that is not a day that is important. It goes, it's not there. It's just another day. That's you know. Um but if a woman, if you don't, it's important because it's been ingrained in us, and it makes you feel devalued as a woman if these things don't get acknowledged. And so, with us following the ways of the pagans, we acknowledge and desire all of the material things. And so now you have just a lust full of people that just desire things. They don't, it's not the sentimental value in the gifts or the day. It's about the thing that you gave me. What did you, how big, how much far did you go to show that you care, that you love me, that, it's my heart. Now, the history of it is kind of, allegedly, is kind of gory, as most holidays are. Most holidays are kind of gory and built off some wretched story, allegedly. And most nursery rhymes are as well. And that's evident because Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after. Like, you don't realize that this was a kind of violent song. So, with Cupid, seeking you with a bow and arrow to make you fall in love, it's a way to get people to falsely live in this false reality of material things. The idols, the rituals, the sacrifices that you make. And then not a lot of people remember and pay attention. Sunwater, I love us first because I'm a woman first. But however, there is a side to women that is not dug into. Okay. Man has always been the villain, Beauty and the Beast, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. How dare you call them dopey, sleepy, it's an unfair thing in my endeavors of selling things and making things. I always would often find that there was less objects and things for the boys. I couldn't find a lot of trinkets and gadgets and doohickeys and things for boys. It was limited to trucks and the basics. So I started to see that there was an unfairness and the scale wasn't balanced to that point. So these things create women to have this unrealistic expectations, desire. And then you throw the television in front of them, and bam, boom, they can get to desire all the things that they want. And now they're going to force and pressure you to get those things. Use schmex as a weapon, use it as a way to get it. And it goes a long way that we don't really stop to say, hey, that's, we don't do that. You hear what I'm saying? We don't do that. Um, yeah, and it goes unnoticed. But it's looked down on upon other women if you don't get those days, the Valentine's Day presents and the gifts. You're not valued. You don't have any worth. He don't love you. Does that mean that he, because you, it's not an agreement like you, Sunwater, you say y'all agreed, right? You know you're in this and we don't do that as a couple. But is there a problem or a lack thereof if the couple isn't on an agreement, but the person just doesn't acknowledge today? Is that an issue for a man, or because it's not any spiritual based foundation? It's just, it is what it is. Do you think these days should because even if you don't call it Valentine's Day and you just choose to bring me some flowers, that's the day you brought me flowers. So you can call it Flower Day if you want. But same theory, same thing, behind the context of it and not the history of it. So is it important that these days get to be acknowledged or showed, all year round? And I think it causes a lot of
Mm.
greed, a lot of Jezebel spirit in a woman.
Well, I'm constantly getting flowers and gifts from my husband. We constantly doing stuff for each other. So that's for one. And then, people that, married, sometimes, they choose not to celebrate Valentine's Day. They try to use that for their anniversary day. So, like a lot of married couples, they Valentine's is their anniversary day. Doing something for their anniversary, So, but some people still celebrate Valentine's Day. I know people that celebrate it, and it's not even in the couple standpoint. Some people get their mother flowers, their dad flowers, the kids. It's just different. You know, so
If it wasn't a day set out for it, it might happen a lot frequently. Because some people get the idea, I'll just wait around to that day.
hmm some people celebrate it hard. Like my friend, she in Paris, her and her husband for Valentine's. But people still do it. So but
Wow, that's big. Just imagine. That's how much effort people put into
one
the
day,
day.
mm,
That's significant to people. Like it's big to have to be celebrated on that day. That's a big
I
thing
just
because
want to imagine like what their anniversaries be like. If people be big like that on Valentine's Day, what you doing for your anniversary? But they probably still doing stuff for their anniversary. So I guess if you keep up with all the holidays, Christmas, you buy something for your significant other, Valentine's Day. I don't know if y'all celebrate Sweetie's Day, your anniversary day, and your birthdays. It's kind of spread it out throughout the month. So you probably is doing something. You want to look at it like that. throughout the year.
It's not. It's pushed. I mean, it's pushed more than Sweetest Day. There's a lot of things all about the woman. Which says, mm, okay, why is what are you the one who really just started? How come it couldn't have been wrote? Well, they both was just rebel. They both didn't listen. They both refused the orders. Wanted, but you just put it. It was like, what have you done? And she just messed up everything because of her need for greed. She understand her need to want things that she can't have. I don't think they pay attention too much. Put too much of them. Oh, she's the weaker vessel. No, not really, buddy. Don't be deceived. She ain't all that weak. She'll sit for months and plan some revenge back on your ass. Let me tell you. She will sit, a woman will plan something for months, like this whole Paris trip. Think about that. This lady had to really get into it and say, you know what? For Valentine's Day in 2 years or this year, when it comes around, I'm going to Paris. I want to go to Paris. So they got to plan it and talk about it. And she got to imagine all those things, the lights, taking pictures, selfies, the clothes, the Eiffel Tower, romantic. Might nice. We don't focus enough on how to discipline a woman. A woman needs to be disciplined, being raised, growing up, because her creative side is expressive. So that's why it's mother, father, child, father, mother, child. That way, you don't forget the woman. You don't let her go astray and be irresponsible because somebody is her ruler. Mm-mm. I've heard things like a lot of these unalivements are due to a female engaging or instigating somebody in to do something. And it's odd because I watch these movies and these like compilations of these biographies of people and these stories, and it really sticks out. If you could see things just not in the average way and kind of look for things, you will just notice the women just always had to pull their man to the front light, to the forefront in the spotlight. So there's a thing in a woman that should be curved, and I think if we put the label on, well, she's made for the man and she's the weaker vessel, that will always limit her to be corrected. You can say you're created equal. So in that case, we both equally have responsibility in our actions. But when you say that one is head over the other, it leaves you in charge of me. So now I don't have any real discipline. A lot of women don't have really a lot of discipline. They shop and go crazy on whatever comes to mind, and then justify this sporadic behavior and lack of discipline with their emotional state of thinking, oh, I was sad and I have to go shopping. Things like that creates a discord, an enemy, a diffusion between the male and the female. He just becomes an old worker and is working. I just think a lot of this needs to be really, when you talk about balance, the that is not balanced by having one over the other, because it leaves both of them to have to be able to recognize the lack thereof, or the deceit and the traps that they can fall in this world. So I think it's important to recognize that. Hey, Aquafina.
Hello, everyone. How you guys all doing tonight?
Good. Nice of you to join us live on YouTube
Thank
for Ring of
Yes.
Fire.
you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So I just got a little bit of what you guys were saying, and I believe I kind of understand if you guys are speaking on pretty much the trajectories when it comes to, you know, women and men and relationships and the roles that they, carry as far as, men's obligation to do this and women's obligation to do that. And, Chosen, you said something interesting. You said that, the stigma surrounded by women when it comes to, us being identified as like, having a weaker vessel or being more emotional or this and that, the placement kind of provides an unequal playing field for both individuals in a relationship. And then you said, if we were identified more as, as an equal, it would place both partners, which are adults, at an equal stance of responsibility and obligation towards each other on all levels. And, I agree with that. I completely agree.
We started off with how big the Valentine's Day. How does this impact or influence women? And that's where I landed on that it really takes a woman um to a place of feeling devalued. I think as a woman, if these days as such are not recognized or celebrated in her favor. What do you think? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it definitely does. Because we have, of course, the economical issues. Not everybody has the same, financial ability like everyone else. So, your man may be a hard worker and this and that in all areas, but he's not able to, take you out on a 5-star dinner on Valentine's Day or some extravagant cruise and buy all these, sweet, wonderful things like we see on social media. So yes, I believe it definitely does, play a role in a woman's confidence and her value in a relationship in a really biased way.
You think it's overrated? Like it's a overrated day? Does it
Yeah,
should
yeah.
it, even if we didn't call it Valentine's Day, should these days be specifically celebrated all year long? Or is it, best to give it that one recognized day so you can keep remembrance of how to keep the
I mean,
love?
me personally, when it comes to, celebrating anything, you know, I believe that a person, as they, live life and experience the, the good things and the accomplishments that a person, I would think would, mark their own calendars of their own, special achievements or whatnot, and, build their own, traditional values within their families. I think it just makes it, more personalized pertaining to you. I mean, the actual history of, what you're celebrating. And I think it just gives, a bit more, light to a relationship, the togetherness within a family structure. Um, I would think that if it's two people who are in love with each other, of course, they're going to show that, 365 days out the year, every day, to the best of their ability. Every day when you wake up next to your husband or wife, that person is special to you and you appreciate that. And, it's going to be automated that it shows. Unfortunately, society and the narratives that we get shown on media and everywhere else, places a huge slash with that, because we tend to think that, what we're constantly shown is the best way to go about these relationships. And it really does cause an issue. You know,
Hmm.
it's interesting. I mean, ultimately, it would be nice because, I mean, the thing between men and women, we always have an argument. And I would probably say this argument is mainly amongst people who are probably less institutionally educated. And not saying that the institution is the only place for a person to be, correctly educated on. But, that argument is usually, well, because, men are stronger and this and that. But I think we have to understand that, what one person is one way, another person is another way. And even though we men and women are different, and there's some biological, anomalies between the two that may be slightly different, but the way that we operate, because we're all human beings, is pretty much the same. We just have to relearn how to recognize those characteristics amongst both each other equally as they're expressed in different ways, so that it can bring us down to a fair playing field of recognizing each other as equal human beings that, have strong characteristics that just express differently. I kind of wonder what are some of the things that would take for us to get to that level.
Say that again. Which level?
I'm sorry, what you say?
Which level? What level you
I,
said?
I kind of wonder what sort of things, or what kind of actions or ideologies or whatnot would it take to bring us down to, or bring us up, I should say, up to a level where we recognize both men and women, as equals amongst each other, especially in relationships, so that we can fix these little kinks that society has pretty much placed us in. Like, would it take like maybe less media exposure, more counseling, therapy, like what are some of the things that would take to bring us up to that that status amongst each other so that we can identify men and women pretty much as equal human beings amongst each other and respect, yet respect the different characteristics that we both have as men and women.
Mm, mm. Yeah, well, I'll go to the fullest extent and say some apocalypse to the point where you're left with to start, I would say over. Um, because if you don't read about it, who's to say it is what it is? So if I never read that you was the head, I wouldn't have never thought you was. I would have just thought you was my partner. And when it's time to hunt, we both out there hunting. Cause I'm looking at the back, you in the front, and we're working together. But if I had some books left over, I might read a story that said you was in charge. So now I have to place you in charge, and you might not even know how to build the spear. Like, I gotta put you
Right.
in charge, and here I am beating up on you, calling you stupid, and saying you're not a man because I read that you was in charge, and it said that you know to do X, Y, Z, but you just never did it before, so you don't know. But now I'm holding you to an unrealistic expectation, and now I'm creating an insecurity and a doubt and a beast in you.
Right. So pretty much the narrative that's set between the two would ultimately have to either diminish or be changed. And which is interesting because, and I don't mean to say this to sound offensive to anybody or whatnot, but, we have the whole, LGBTQ transgender thing going on where, I mean, if we kind of look at it, it is, a human male species that is going in alignment with and as a woman. But it's not because he's, that man is not, wanting to, for the most part. I know that there's different types of, gender identities out there, but the most common ones that we know about, they're not, wanting to be intimate or be in a relationship with a woman. So it's kind of like it's a bit overboardish with that. But I understand what you're saying. The narrative that's set and what we know, what we read, is what put these into our head, and that's a discrepancy, a big one. But where's she go?
She trying to come back up. Fire left,
Oh,
Chosen back up.
I don't know if it what happened.
yeah. I don't know if you heard my response, chosen. I was basically saying that I believe I get what you're saying. Pretty much is the narrative that's set between the two. What we read and how we grow to understand how a man operates or whatnot is what places these and biases of our characteristics in our head. And so, but it's kind of interesting because we have the whole LGBTQ, thing now. And so that is kind of shifting a bit towards, the man pretty much understanding, the woman. However, and I know that there's more than one gender identity out there, but the most, common ones that we know about, they're not, dating women. So it's a little bit over the line. Oh, there she goes, and she dropped again. It's probably the connection because I had a little trouble when I first came up on here. You good, children? Uh, yeah, I think it's her internet connection.
Okay. I don't know what's going on.
Seems we lost the host too.
Yeah, if there's I do believe life would have started if it would have started with the universal law that was for both of us. Now, this is not to deal with, the anatomy of you two, but this whole law that says this is what you do as people and this is what you don't do, and that's the standard to, what will cause a negative reaction and what is just basic. But anything opinionatedly gives a lot of room for, but it's kind of hard because how do you prevent man from establishing his thoughts that out on paper? How do you prevent him from expressing his thoughts? And I guess that's the whole, yeah. Because it's like, how could you get us to that point? Would we ever be able to?
I
Because
mean,
mhm.
I don't. Well, it is kind of, and I'm not no scientist or no biologist or anything like that. It's just my basic understanding of these type of things, and so I mean, because at the end of the day, women, we our bodies are built to carry children, and our hormones work, this way and that way, and mainly specifically so that we can bear children. We have a whole person inside of us, and so I would say that as far as how our nerves, you know, or how our nerves operate when it picks up the stimuli around us, because of these biological anomalies that are within a woman because of the environment that our body has in order for us to carry babies. It may be possible that the way that we interpret emotions and whatnot, and this even goes for women who can't have children, because I honestly believe if a woman cannot have children, that is not a natural mishap. There's something somewhere down the line that caused that, and more than likely it was a discrepancy that I mean, if I would say it was man-made of some sort. That's the biggest difference that makes us a woman from a man, is the fact that we carry people. And so it may be that our bodies, respond a little bit different, whether it's more elevated, maybe it's more slower. So we have the ability to, you know, process the emotion more longer or something. And so that's what, gives us a different output, and that's how it's supposed to be. Now, when we have the social structure of, society or whatnot, as far as humans, how we, communicate and everything and set these laws and all that, that would probably be more of the issue. Because remember back then, we didn't know much of what we know about the human body and how it operates based off of what we know now. And then by now, we have so many things going on in our environment that even further impacts, how we respond to the stimuli. So it's, I think we ourselves have to, mentally unwind from that ourselves. Our bodies and everything is doing what it's supposed to do. That is what it is. So I think it's a conscious social decision, a mindfulness that we have to learn and put into place for this to happen.
Hello, everyone. And Tommy here. Hi, Chosen, Aqua.
Hello.
So,
Hello.
how you all doing, ladies?
Doing good.
Uh,
And
quite
Bernie,
yes, ma'am.
my brother from another mother.
How you doing, my dear? How you doing, my sister? You alright?
I'm well.
This big talk, yeah, where I come from, men don't involve in, when, if something has to do with women stuff, like especially when it comes to childbirth. But I think societies have changed and times have changed, traditions have changed. I was just wondering, where do you split the difference between, God's moral law and, scientific laws, wherein you accept that God says, hey, you know what? I might have all this love from the other kids around here, and they are my children too. Or you think, oh no, I'm not pregnant because probably something is wrong. Science can treat that. Where do you draw the line? And I said, hey, I rather choose what God has blessed me with, the other things. Maybe I might not have children, or maybe you think it's okay. You try the scientific way. What's your understanding? What about that?
I mean, I have to stand by, pretty much what I reiterated. It's gonna take a pretty much a common sense, mindful thing. And like how they say, person, in order if you want things to change in the world, you have to be the change that you want to see. So it creates a domino effect. There's not much is going to happen trying to convince somebody. Not much is going to happen trying to prove something to somebody, but so much can happen with, the influence of your actions and how you treat and talk to somebody. That can, the way that because that's what manipulates the stimuli, our vibes, the way that we make each other feel when we're interacting with one another, whether it's online or in person. Because trust me, through these fiber optic or however you connect to the internet, this network, we very much are able to pick up each other's vibes.
Yeah,
That's why I really focus on communication, the way that we speak to each other.
true.
And so, I think it just starts by, the way that we talk and treat each other. Ultimately, kind of put it in our heads that, okay, I'm talking to a man, but most importantly, I'm talking to another human being. And we're all human beings.
Absolutely true. Very true. Chosen. What do you
Repeat the
think?
que- I heard her answer, but I didn't hear the all of the original question. I'm getting ready
Hmm.
for bed.
Wow. Um,
Um, you said where do you draw the
the line
science?
between having faith in God or science. When you appreciate what God has blessed you with, the other good things, life, health, and other things, maybe not with kids. Or you say, you know what, I put my hope in science, can make my dreams come true. I might have kids. Maybe there's just a little flaw here and there, and science might
Well,
make it right.
one thing we have to remember too is, science is the observation of nature. I know, that's why I say, the narrative is a huge problem. The way that we define things is constantly changing all the time. But even though it changes, the way that we're defining something, it still trickles back and it's still the same as how we originally defined it. It may be a little more to this side or to that side, but understanding, the core of things is where we find the absolute truth. So if science is the observation of nature, then that means that it's not the perverted, manipulative thing that we came to understand it to be. It's
Oh,
pretty much observing something and learning it and understanding how it works. And as we understand how it works, we respect it and we interact it based on what we genuinely learned it to be. And that's how we, that's how we've grown to understand
Mm,
things, identify things.
Chosen, would you say
oh,
true?
mm, I don't know because if it's the observation of nature, you said earlier that might not be, that's not a natural mishap, but we don't have an explanation for, why someone may be infertile. Um, as far as it, when you're not just compromised and it's just one of those things. So to answer your question, and Army, it's very interesting because I've thought about this a lot. And it's like
Hmm.
when you step out of, I hate to say this, but this is
Take your time. Take your time. Take your
when you step
time.
out of the illusion and the
Mm-hmm.
hope of faith and you get into the actuality, you take things for what they are, and you find the purpose and you are grateful for that purpose. But in the hope phase, I guess you can use science as the hope that this faith can take you to where you need to be through science. So it's like, mm,
I mean, that's pretty much like,
I
what
really
I would
don't have
say.
a real pure answer until I've thought about it, and I would like to express it raw.
Okay,
But
okay. But hold on, because my sister over here, Sunwater, had aqua. You said science is the observation and understanding of nature. I
Right.
wanted to say, hey, science has tampered with a lot of things and it has twisted it around. We'll get to that. Secondly, my sister chosen, you said, oh, where we go?
I mean, it
Okay.
sounds like she pretty much said the same thing. She said
Yes,
that
it's more of the same. But I
taking
was gonna
things for
ask,
granted.
what is science without faith? Because every scientist has to practice and master their art, and through a lot of observation and understanding and time and faith in what they believe, they get to find answers. And sometimes they meet failures along the way, but it takes also faith for you to be able to get those things crossed and approved or found or debunked. So what do you think, my sister, about having faith in God and let things be?
I mean, what I was saying is pretty much goes in alignment because, you know, going back to our original definition and understanding of what science is, it would be, coming across, something or whatnot, and ultimately, visualizing, what it is in its own natural state, appreciating that in its own natural state by, not manipulating it or disrupting it, and, learning it by, being patient, observation, and, getting to know it based off its natural self. That's where the knowledge grows of what we come to identify of what something is. When there's, when I think as time progressed and, man, I would say man's ego grew and, wanting to do this and do that. And that's when the things like what they call that, what is it, the scientific, what's that thing called when you have to do certain steps? in order to properly be practicing science or whatnot. When you observe something and do two experiments, and that's when those things started to come into play or whatnot. And I think that's kind of where things started to kind of a little bit go left.
Okay. Should
You
I say
know,
you're a religious person, or should I say you just have faith? How can I categorize you? Spiritually, are you religious?
I'm sorry, you're saying what?
Are you a religious person?
I,
Just out
I,
of
I guess,
curiosity.
yeah, you could say that I'm a religious person. You can say that. I'm very I'm extremely personal when it comes to my interpersonal relationship with God and so forth, and I respect everyone's belief and so forth, and you know, I tend that tends to go into a a egotistical debate or argument when I think when we start to profess those things, especially on the online open environment amongst people from different faiths and all that type of stuff, because I dare not to disrespect, anybody's identification of, God or, Most High or, however you align with
Just
it. I sure most definitely have mine. And ultimately, you can always tell based off how a person treats and speaks to you if a person is a good
yeah. Mm. Well,
believer.
so it means if I would say there's hope in the hospital, something is wrong, would you choose to pray and out of faith hope that you'll be healed, or would you take the medication?
I mean, I would, of course, I'm going to pray and all that. If there's an opportunity for some type of assistance with a medication, whether it be a herb or a pill or whatnot, and based on my discernment, I deem that as okay. Then I'm going to make the decision.
So,
I think that people think that just because we have the availability of things to consume, because God gives people remarkable gifts, and I'm pretty sure that God also understands our intellectual advancement as human beings, because God is the ultimate intellectual being.
so,
We may
so,
be
so
at the
you,
bottom
so
of
you
here.
take the pill with good faith and prayers and hope to be healed.
You said
So
what?
you need both. So you need both. A little bit of this and a little bit of that.
Right,
A
it's
little
a
bit of faith
reflection,
and a
right?
little bit of medication can actually help. So we
Right,
need
it's a
we need
reflection.
both.
We need right.
Okay.
And of course, a person, I believe a person with, good solid faith, and a person that, has their understanding, their alignment, their walk and their belief and so forth in their life is, they have it in the bag. And I don't think that who am I to judge? Who am I to, why would I tell you something when you are shining in your light? The only thing that I can do is, listen to you, listen, to what you're saying, and in my most humblest state, if I'm able to, provide the care that I'm able to provide if I'm provisioned for that task. That's all that I can do.
Chosen, you must be a mom. How is it being a mom, maybe with kids and having to see them grow in different. Are you a mom? Let me just confirm that. Just
No,
okay. I'm
I'm
sorry.
not.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. No, it wasn't like okay. Well,
Hmm.
let's say okay. Now it gets personal. Do you miss that? Because I asked a question and it felt like it was subconsciously I was saying something that maybe you can relate to. Do you feel like it's okay to accept your position and say, hey, you know what? God has blessed me with a lot of nieces and nephews, and I met great men in my life, and they have kids, and I can feel like I can be blessed with their presence in my life. Or do you think, how have you thought of like, oh, it's just a thing of luck, or maybe
Uh,
there were medical things? I don't know. Help me out.
you learn to deal with it. Hold on. You learn to deal with it.
Okay.
You learn to you don't really miss something you never had. Hey, sit down.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely true.
I would.
Hold on.
Oh, you guys, my thing is dying. I'll be right back. I'm coming right back.
S-
I'll be right back in 2 seconds. I gotta put it on the
It's
charger.
okay. Take it easy. So you said you won't miss things you never had, but um, yeah, how?
It I don't know. It's I guess you just adjust. You
Yeah,
find a
yeah,
purpose. You
yeah,
you find a purpose in that.
yeah, yeah. What's your purpose? What's life's biggest, blessings that you found in your story when dealing with those things like that. As a woman, women find pride in getting married. You guys love the wedding gowns and stuff like that. It's personal. It's every woman's dream. But also, like with kids, how did you find balance in that? Being the person who you are, being able to love and still embrace your womanhood despite the other things. How do you keep that balance?
Say it again, sir. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. How do you find balance in being, you know, able to, yeah. How do you
Oh
find your
my
balance?
goodness. This okay, go ahead. How do I find balance?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, women love wearing the wedding gowns. You love the kids and stuff like that. And you're a woman, and I don't know. A lot of people that's been asking these questions too. Sometimes people hear those things and they use it against you. You must have had, oh yeah, are you the one with the kids? Oh yeah. In traditions, they think, oh, it's a man needs to have a woman that will be, like those kings and those. You see them, oh, they want to have the next of kin and stuff. How did you deal with things in your life? This is personal now. It might feel uncomfortable for you, but I would really appreciate if I even every single line will mean a lot to me. No disrespect here, it's out of concern. I've never, asked these questions to anybody. Never had to ask them or never got the opportunity to. So, how do you deal with that?
Mm, well, you just deal with it.
Okay.
You just live your life.
Mm.
I don't know if I was prepared to answer, so I'm kind of short on that.
Yeah, me too. I wasn't prepared to ask anything about this. It just happens. I'm asking them, but it feels it's yeah. I don't know. Think one of the most awkward conversations, but I'm glad I'm asking them because I know I'm with a good sister, and it's coming from a. I hope it's coming from a respectful place. I think it might also help other people talk about it too. If maybe you give your idea, you never know who's listening or who's watching. I also feel the same way, but they never get to talk about it because it feels like
You really want
most.
to know?
Yes, ma'am.
It feels like uh you're disconnected from man and woman. You can coexist, but it's hard to relate. Uh it's it's it feels like something it might have been um I don't know, put on you that is and then it's also a freedom and a unique it's a uniqueness and a freedom, and it's a special trait. After a while it becomes a special trait, and you tend to embrace that in its own uniqueness.
Mm.
But on the most part, it's really it's just not a place to be.
Anders geef ik u iets. Zal ik u iets geven? Ja? Okay, yeah. Hey, thanks for asking. You said there's uniqueness and there's freedom. You know, these are two distinctive words, and I do acknowledge them in your situation or your where you coming from. What's the best part of it? I mean, come on. To be honest, kids can be awesome, but it's a responsibility. Has that in any way influence any other good things that you found in your life because you were able to be the person you are, and despite what you felt like were the odds against you, but it also became a blessing to you? Is that what you found? You saying like by using the word unique and freedom?
No, it's not a blessing. You just have to make it that. You attach on to it. Just like you attach on to being a mother and a father, and that's your trait, and them your kids, you attach on to being without. Uh
Uh, this is a difficult one, and I don't know. Probably you don't talk about it with your friend like that, but me hearing you feels like yeah, it's you barely speak about how you feel. Do you normally speak about how you feel? Does it? Because it has to do with.
Now it offends women.
I can understand. I can imagine. No, understand. I'm not a woman. Can only imagine. As a woman, how do you, how does it bother you in a way? Let me repeat what I said again because you're saying the same thing, and I probably might predict your answer, but I would like it to come from you. How how do you feel? How do you get along with yourself in the adjustment? In the adjustment, because like you said, you adjust, you deal with it. How do you deal with it?
Mm. Well, to be honest, I just found out 3 years ago that it wouldn't happen, or that was the case. But before then, I had hope. That was difficult,
Mm.
but
I, I understand. You see, I cannot. How you say? I cannot say I I truly understand how it feels for a woman, but I can imagine, me dealing with me separating with my ex, even at that smallest level. I mean, yours is totally different, but we're talking about emotions here. We're talking about feelings, and they're real, they're alive. We have to deal with them. We have to wake up and sleep with them. We have to take them to our walks. They have to reflect on our emotions and how we, you know, develop. Even with age, we still, keep growing emotionally, or we deteriorate emotionally. Has that? Did you find a place to grow? Because for me, it was a big bang. It wasn't a loss. I didn't lose my kid, but I lost that contact for some time, and it was a hell of a time. Have you lost, like, I mean, I don't know how easy might that come from you? Did you ever deal with like miscarriages before you actually gave up? Is that what you're talking about?
no, I never had to. You said what?
Have you ever had to deal with like miscarriages before?
No, no, I've never been pregnant at all.
Okay. But was the hope of being pregnant just as eager and burning and exciting to be pregnant, just as the disappointments were just as bad as, like, you know because a woman has the periodical cycle, and when those months cycles go around, it feels. Did you have to deal with those excitements? Did you have to look up to those
The
things, those
same way
months?
for a man.
What's the best part of the sense that you can make out of everything from your perspective, before when finding peace in dealing with, yeah, acceptance? What was the fun fact you found out about life in your story, in your struggle dealing with that?
Mm. I would only give you surface level answers.
Anything is good. It's all good. I appreciate you though. I appreciate you talking to me. I appreciate you feeling confident, you know, um, making me in honoring my questions. Yeah, I hope you're okay though with it. So, what made sense? What made sense to you? What was the fun fact about God and belief? What did you did it make you more religious? Did you lose faith in religion? Some people get close to God, others are totally lost. Where did you find yourself, my sister?
Difficult to say.
Now, there's a lot of families, cultural things. And we were talking about respect and loyalty. Do you believe in both of them and their existence and their necessity in cultures, in our environment? What's your take on respect, and what do you think about loyalty? What does that mean to you? Is that something that really is important to you?
Mm-mm. Words aren't important. Actions are. Words mean nothing. Actions are important. Loyalty is just another word that describes the action. And in this, it could, uh, maybe you don't know the right action to use for the word. So, uh, loyalty is, I don't know, just my mental isn't there right now. Loyalty is specific. I do think that, when someone chooses to be loyal or respectful or love you, it is a right of it's a earned passage that you should be really grateful for.
You mean respect?
Because
You mean respect, right?
no, not really respect, but
So do you think loyalty comes from a good place compared to what respect may look like? Because in my culture, respect is huge, it's big, it's extra large, it's fat, it's chubby, it has love handles, and it's twisted and wrapped around every other foundation in societies. And for you guys, it's such a thing that is based on how close people get. That's when respect becomes loyalty. Do you think loyalty can come from respect?
mm-mm.
So so you don't think someone can respect somebody and because of that they're loyal to them? I mean, let's take for example, I have a boss. He's a good guy. He might be a little bit younger, but he's a decent dude. Treats me well with respect and that integrity. And hey, I might be loyal to his assignment and probably even go the extra mile for my job. I can be loyal to my job. But on the other hand, I have to be loyal, but respect has to be earned. And if he earned that, probably I can. It goes beyond even loyalty. Respect can make people love other people because if you love somebody, you respect them. You respect them even when they are not watching. You might be loyal to them. But love does not even make people get loyal. So, do you think respect cannot become something that is a very important tool that can be used in our culture still? Because, yeah, you don't think it's important?
No, it's it's the word that we use now for respect is what we call respect now is respect.
Should I, should I say, can I say
Respect is just to be looked at, something specific in you to be looked at over and over again. That's not good. according to, if you read scripture to the point to understand these things, both sides just to understand, but um
Because somebody can be loyal to you because they fear you, right?
mm-mm.
Have you seen? I mean, people that can really throw a tantrum, like really have a huge fight. I don't want to cheat on my woman because, ooh, she's crazy, man. She's gonna fuck shit up. She's gonna fuck me up. Oh, I'm, I'm not gonna cheat on my woman because she's a good woman. I love her. Is that loyalty or is that respect in those two situations? Which one sounds better to you? I love. I'm not gonna cheat on my wife because she's crazy. She's gonna fuck me up. Oh no, I'm not gonna cheat on her because I love her. She's not around. I'm on vacation. I can sleep with any other woman or sleep with any other man. But he's a fine man or he's a good woman. Is that respect or is that loyalty displayed out of respect or just respect or fear or loyalty, pure loyalty? Which one? What do you think?
Get in here. Mm.
What time is it over there in the States now?
My bedtime, 12 midnight.
That's what I thought. Hey, it was really nice talking to you. I'm sure I had a feeling you were, already in your bed. You were about to rest. And it was really nice talking to you, my sister. And thanks for at least,
Yeah, it's late. So
thanks for the
I
little
would
highlights
conversate,
on,
but that's time for
yeah,
bed. I gotta
yeah.
turn it in.
Thanks for the effort. Thanks for the little highlights. I appreciate you. It was nice talking to you. Take care, all right?